The Five Doctors is one of the most cherished anniversary specials in Doctor Who's history, featuring returning companions, monsters, and the titular Five Doctors. Well, kind of. 3 real Doctors, 1 shown in archive footage and an imposter Hartnell. But originally, the 5 Doctors was to be the 6 Doctors, and written by one of Classic Who's most beloved writers, Robert Holmes. Today, we'll take an in-depth look at this Unmade anniversary adventure and discover why it didn't make it to our screens. Doctor Who's producer, John Nathan Turner, wanted to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the show in a similar vein to 1973's The Three Doctors. The Three Doctors was the first multi-doctor story the show had ever seen, and brought the first 2 Doctors back to the show and faced against the insane Time Lord Omega. Plans for the 20th anniversary special had been discussed as early as Davison's first season, when Nathan Turner asked David Reed, the head of series at the BBC, if they could air season 21 in the autumn of 1983 to coincide with the anniversary month. After some discussion, Nathan Turner was informed by the BBC One controller that instead of delaying the broadcast of the season, they instead could have a one-off hour-long special just for the anniversary. To pen this juggernaut of a story, script editor Eric Saward suggested Robert Holmes. Holmes was an obvious choice, having once script edited for the show in the past and had a proven track record of hits. During their first meeting, Eric Saward and Nathan Turner explained their vision for the special. Not only would Holmes have to incorporate all the Doctors returning, but also his travelling companions and a plethora of monsters. Holmes reportedly found the entire premise ridiculous. Holmes wasn't the type of writer who was very enthusiastic about fan service, and was more excited by telling darker and satirical stories. He was also clearly frustrated by the amount of inclusions he had to incorporate into the plot. Which, to be fair, he's right to be annoyed about. How can you fit all of those elements into 1 hour and also tell a real story? It seemed like an impossible task, and maybe Holmes just wasn't the right person to write this type of story. Although he had his reservations, he left the meeting and developed an idea of how the story could work. On Maladoom, the First Doctor and Susan are walking through the foggy planet, but they are not what they seem. They are cyborgs created by the Cybermen. Holmes thought this would be a great way to get around the First Doctor not looking like William Hartnell. There is a time fissure on Maladoom, and the first 4 Doctors' TARDISes are drawn through it. The 4th Doctor deduces that in order to create this time fissure, someone must have stolen the power of the Time Lords. The Doctor and his friends are all captured by the Master, who is working for the Cybermen. The Cybermen take the Second Doctor and extract his Time Lord DNA in order to create a new race of Cybermen, the Cyberlords. Yet, the experiment doesn't work, as the 3rd Doctor overthrows the Cybermen and they all escape. As they're escaping, the First Doctor is discovered to be a fake, and they throw him off a cliff. No, seriously. When Jamie McCrimmon discovers that Susan is also a robot, he is heartbroken because he developed a crush on her. The Doctor and his friends discover the Master's TARDIS, which has been powering the time fissure, and destroy it before it destroys the universe. The Doctors say goodbye and return to their rightful place in time and space. To Eric Saward, it became clear that Robert Holmes wasn't overly excited about writing this story, and became increasingly concerned that he would have to find another writer. He then turned to yet another Doctor Who writer legend, Terrance Dicks, to pen the story as a backup. Holmes submitted a few script pages on the 13th of October, and apologised that he could not finish the scripts as he was commissioned to write. Saward was unsurprised, but disappointed, but offered Holmes the chance to write something in the future that was more in his area of expertise. Holmes stated in an interview in 1985 that, "They said, in fact, would I like to write the death of the Doctor? And I said yes. Firstly, because I'd not written for Peter Davison, and secondly, because everyone knows that this is the last story, and so you have that kind of inbuilt drama." That story would end up to become The Caves of Androzani, which is one of the fans' most beloved stories written by Robert Holmes. Now that Holmes was out of the picture, Saward gave the green light to Terrance Dicks, who would go on to write The Five Doctors as it was transmitted. First of all, The Five Doctors is my all-time favourite anniversary special. I've always used it as like a gateway drug for converting new series fans into classic series fans, because it's the perfect taster. It's only an hour long and features the first five Doctors, kind of, and you get a small idea of how each of the Doctors act. For example, if the new fan enjoys Pertwee's performance in The Five Doctors, I'd say, try Spearhead from Space and see how you go. And for the seasoned fan who has seen every story a million times, The Five Doctors is just a nice rush of nostalgia to see all your favourites reunited together in a fluffy fan story. I find it difficult to imagine a universe where The Five Doctors doesn't exist as it does today. But the concept of the Six Doctors is something that has always interested me. A robotic William Hartnell getting thrown off a cliff is just an incredible way to celebrate 20 years of the show. Would it have been seen as insulting? I don't know. Especially to William Hartnell's wife, who was still alive at the time. I personally think it sounds incredibly camp and fun, but then again, I'm not William Hartnell's wife. Or am I? I think it's interesting that a lot of the ideas in this outline come to pass in future episodes. The Master working alongside the Cybermen is a massive precursor to their many collaborations in the new series. Not to mention the Cyberlords being used by Chris Chibnall during the Timeless Children. I wonder if Chris Chibnall was inspired by this outline, and if so, it seems that the show, even to this day, is still milking ideas from long ago. It's also nice imagining a multi-Doctor story where Tom Baker returns to the role in 1983. When Nathan Turner first contacted Baker's agent, they were sure that he wouldn't be interested in returning. Yet, Tom Baker did have a few meetings with John Nathan Turner, where he was excited by the idea of reuniting with Elizabeth Sladen, who played Sarah Jane Smith. He just wanted to see a script before signing on. Eventually though, Tom Baker changed his mind and decided not to appear in the anniversary special, causing yet another round of script changes. I sometimes wonder how those short years would have changed Tom Baker's performance. Tom's characterization changed so much throughout every season he was in, depending on who he was traveling with. His Doctor seemed to align himself with them. With Sarah Jane, he was your best mate. With Leela, he was a stubborn educator. And with Romana, they were academic jokers. And with Adric, well, he was just kind of a bit of a knob, really. How would have he been alongside the other Doctors? I guess we'll never know. Unless, of course, Big Finish decides to adapt the Six Doctors into an audio venture, that is. Would the Six Doctors ended up as the beloved classic that the Five Doctors eventually became? It's hard to tell. Could Holmes really grasp that level of fan references and toy box-like storytelling that Dicks mastered? The Five Doctors, by all accounts, should not work. Yet it does. Maybe that is a testament to Terrance Dicks' writing ability, his history with the show, and his reliability as a jobbing writer, someone who always gets the work done. Then again, Holmes did get a chance to write a multi-Doctor story for the Sixth Doctor titled The Two Doctors, which faced a similar premise. Holmes was asked to incorporate two Doctors, the Sontarans, and set it in Seville. It's not the most beloved story, but it might give us an insight into the type of multi-doctor adventure he could have written for the 20th anniversary. Personally, I think the 5 Doctors is the best outcome for the 20th anniversary. And the 6 Doctors is a nice and interesting footnote in the history of Doctor Who. So, what do you think of the original concept for the 5 Doctors? Would you have preferred the 6 Doctors or the 5 Doctors? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Josh Nez YouTube channel.